Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Commodity TV and a new edition of our online interview series. We want to talk now, not for the first time, but for the first time to Southern Cross Gold Consolidated. And Michael Hudson is the CEO and the president of the company. Welcome and good morning from my side. Good afternoon to you in Australia. How are you, Michael?
Very well, thanks, Jochen. Lovely to see you again.
Yeah, thank you very much for taking the time. That's fantastic. We saw us shortly at PDIC, but time was really in a constraint, so that's even more perfect that we can talk now. Southern Cross, was, I would call it the old Mawson, if you want to take it like that. Maybe you can give our viewers a short overview on the company before we go more into medias res.
Very good. Southern Cross Gold Consolidated is a dual-listed company in Canada, trades as SXGC, and in Australia as SX2 with CDIs down here in Australia. So dual listed. The flagship project is the Sunday Creek project. It's one of the most exciting gold antimony projects in the world today. We've been drilling it for the last couple of years. We've got 70,000 kilometres of drilling on it. 6 rigs busy today, going to 8 in another few weeks.
We've got 70,000 meters because it's at 70,000
meters.
Okay, yeah,
7-0, we have what is a multi-million ounce 8 to 10 gram deposit, and it's getting a lot bigger. We're only about 4 or 5% into the discovery trend, so it's just one of those rare assets. There's very, very few high-grade multi-million ounce assets, pre-development assets, singularly owned by a company. Here you've got one of the very, very few.
Fantastic. And I saw also you had a news out that was on like 2 weeks ago approximately, where you said you will double the exploration target with increasing grades even. I mean, that is the dream of an explorer, right?
Yeah, it doesn't often happen that way, and we did that in a year. So exploration targets are not resources, and you should read all the cautionary language around that. They're drill constrained in our case, but our drill holes are too far apart to put all the inventory into a resource. So we need 25 by 50 metre spacing, for example, for an inferred resource. We've got holes that are 50 to 100 metres spaced. So they're just too far apart, but they're drill constrained. And we had a year ago 1 to 1.6 million ounces at 7.2 to 9.7 grams per tonne gold equivalent. This year, a few weeks ago, we doubled it. So we've got 2.2 to 3.2 million ounces at 8.6, I think it is, to 10.5. So the grade went up by about 10 to 15%. The metal inventory doubled. That's because of these very, very, very strong results. In terms of hit rate, 100 gram metre hit rate divided by the amount of metres into this, there's nothing better than I can see around the globe, and it's all hanging together. It's a very consistent mineralized body as demonstrated by geostats, and like I said, it's getting bigger and it's in a state that wants to permit, and it's just a very, very exciting moment in what is now a gold market.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, gold this morning, $3,042. That helps everybody, of course, also the exploration, because you are not logically not in production yet. But what I found also really interesting is Sunday Creek. I think the first prospector started in 1967. So that's almost 50. That's over 50 years ago. And but you guys now did in almost 4 or 5 years. You really rocked the exploration, I would say. And this is a very good example. If you do things right and you go aggressively into the ground, you really can, very fastly hit well and discover, something really large here. So my question is, what makes Sunday Creek so special, aside of that you have gold and antimony, of course, because we come in a second to antimony, but what makes it also, let's say, geological so special that you have those high gold grades? Because that's outstanding.
Well, we're following a playbook of what was and is still one of the highest grade gold mines on Earth. That's being Fosterville. So that was the highest grade gold mine on Earth for 4 of the last 7 or 8 years. It was the lowest ASIC, so meaning they produced the lowest cost It was producing $1 million free cash flow a day. It created $10 billion of wealth over 4 or 5 years from a market cap appreciation. So an amazing deposit, and we came in on the back of that discovery. It's owned by Agnico Eagle, that mine now, and went looking for another one. And we found another one without a doubt. It's the same playbook, the same fluid, the same age, the same characteristics, hosted in a slightly different way, but that's the only variation. It's a variation on the theme. So it's really a new paradigm, is to answer your question, that Victoria had a style of deposits that were very hard in the day easy for the gold rush times. Victoria produced as much gold equally as California, over 1 million ounces a year in the 1850s. Rushed through to the 70s onwards, Victoria was a bit tough because the restarts were on nuggety styles of deposits. What only happened less than 10 years ago is that Fosterville was found, and it was found to be this supersonic, very high-grade deposit at depth below an existing mine. And though that deposit was very consistent, reconcilable, and amazingly high-grade. So we had some knowledge when we came, and then now this whole knowledge base of why these things form, how they get to where they are, and how you find them, and what you look for, is now only 2 or 3 years, old in the geological world. So it's an absolutely new paradigm that we found ourselves within, and found another one of these deposits that's following the same playbook. So it's a pretty good analogue to follow, and we've been standing on the shoulders of giants in doing that. We've got key people who've come from Fosterville and are now sharing the knowledge. Agnico have been very generous in allowing that knowledge to be shared, and it opens it up for Victoria really to have so much more potential than even just two of the tier one and two discoveries in Australia in the last decade. There's only something like 12 key discoveries in the last decade in Australia, and Fosterville and Sunday Creek are two of those. So Victoria's punching above its weight because it hasn't had a lot of exploration relative to the rest of Australia.
Okay, super. And has this also to do with the golden ladder I found in your presentation? That's really interesting because it looks like that you have like over, 10 kilometers of that golden ladder trends in the strike. So why is it a golden ladder?
That's a simple way to tell complex geological orogenic gold structure.
So that means that I understand it also.
Well, it is relatively simple, right? If we use big terms, it would be crazy, right? So it's a structure, a big fault that forms like the sides of a ladder, and the sides of the ladder contain all the gold. And within that ladder, there's the rungs of the ladder that are the veins themselves, and they start at surface and go all the way to 1.5 kilometers, and there's 70 of them, and we're finding more all the time. And they've got very good consistency and amazingly high-grade cores, we call them. The middle of those veins have these supersonic high grades that you'll see in our drill results, and what makes it one of the better drill discoveries in recent history globally. So it's the structure of how the gold forms is in this golden ladder, and that golden ladder extends for 12 kilometres, and we've only explored about 1 kilometre of it.
Okay, wow. So there's a lot more to be discovered, I would say. Super. Your previous exploration target was the rising sun. Now it looks more like Apollo is coming into the focus. Where would you see for this year, your main focus for the exploration?
Yeah, so the old mines we talk about, and there's a series of old mines from Apollo, as you're correct, Rising Sun, Golden Dyke, and Christina. The first two were in the first target a year ago, Rising Sun and Apollo. We added Golden Dyke this year. We have very good drill holes in Christina, but it wasn't included in that exploration target because we didn't have enough drill holes to put a coherent volume around those drill holes. So Christina is 500 metres of strike. It's got old mines. It's got many very, very good drill holes, meters at hundreds of grams already into it. And it's really open going to depth and open going further to the west. So that will be the key focus on the extension, but notwithstanding, we talked about that we only explored 1 kilometre that still is open to drill out that we just described, but we've also got the other 11 kilometres, and we're putting one drill rig exclusively along there doing millions of dollars of geophysics and soil sampling, etc. So we're looking to extend the system kilometres and kilometres along the strike, as well as focusing in and drilling some areas in more detail so we can convert the exploration target to resources and then also expand that area. So this is not stopping, and it will be it's pivoted now to sort of the twofold and resource definition in half the drilling, say, and half in making it bigger.
Okay, super. I saw also you had on 11th March a news out, which I was really positively astonished that you are commencing already the permitting process for a Sunday Creek exploration tunnel. Where do you see significant advantages for the exploration? Why you are doing a tunnel? I mean, isn't that too early? I've never heard that before, that you go like that with exploration, because normally you go from the surface and then you say, okay, let's go into further development, I would call it.
Well, there's a number of reasons. One, that we're pretty confident what we've got is pretty special, and the only limitation in what you do in this business, in the gold business, is the time to drill out these deposits. So drilling takes money and time. Going underground, we can have a much lower impact, which means we can, from surface, so we can put, say, 50% more rigs. So 8 rigs can become 12, for example. So, or 1 rig becomes 1.5, if that, and then they can operate 24/7 on surface. We're only doing 12-hour shifts. So 1 rig becomes 1.5 times 2, which is 3, of course. So 1 rig becomes 3. It brings the drill out 3 times shorter. So 3 years becomes 1 year. And so it can really, and it pays for itself because you're underground and drilling shorter drill holes, so you don't have to drill all the way from surface. So that's the main reason to bring the drill out to inferred and indicated resources much quicker, but it also gives other benefits that we get to see the mineralization rather than predicting between drill holes that may be 50 metres apart. So we can start to get more confidence. So it's all around the de-risking. Eventually, we'll use it for bulk sampling, for met test work, etc. You can take investors down there and they can see and feel and touch it. So it de-risks it in the eyes of many people, not just ourselves, internally as well. So lots of very good reasons around impacts and speed and de-risking.
Okay, perfect, super. Then also a question regarding Sunday Creek comparison to Fosterville. Yeah, you have that also in your presentation. To me, it looks by now a little bit that Sunday Creek is a little bit more vertical. Fosterville looks a little bit not so steep. Or would you just say, no, this is just the beginning, but maybe we are on the path to Fosterville?
Geologically, they're analogues. That's without a doubt. You know, we've got the same fluid that came into the crust at the same time at the similar level. They've been dated at the same. There's the same transition from the upper brittle parts to the lower ductile parts. The antimony drops off as you go deeper into these deposits. So lots of characteristics that make them similar. The only difference is how they've been parked. So when they froze in space, they manifest themselves a little differently. But that's just where they park. So Costerfield's the third analogue, if you like, in this epizonal world that we have here. It's another mine owned by Mandalay Resources. Mm-hmm. And that's, again, a little different where it parked, but it's a variation on the same thing.
Okay, super. As we saw, you have extreme high grades here from time to time. Do you have a nugget effect, or is that just, you have that gold grades?
These deposits are low to moderate nugget. And so what everyone sees high grades and thinks, or visible gold and thinks nuggety, but at every level, this is not a nuggety deposit in the sense that most people would understand nugget. There's a nugget factor in every gold deposit, but this is low to moderate nugget. So we can get good consistency of sampling from the lab, which you don't get in nuggety deposits. And then only one number that you really need to ask anyone: what's the coefficient of variation of your deposit? And that's a measure of the standard deviation divided by the mean. If it's above 2, then it's starting to become erratic. If it's above 5, you've got problems. We average well under 2 and closer to 1 when we apply top cuts. So that's all you need to know around how much you need to drill, essentially, because nuggety deposits can be estimated, but you just need a lot more drilling, which goes to your cost of capital, which goes to how predictive you can be about what's there and what's not there. So Fosterville, Sunday Creek, and Costerfield are low to moderate nugget deposits.
Okay, super. You have, aside of the gold, you have antimony, which I think is now also a real critical mineral, especially in these days where everybody is investing a lot more into defense, I would call it. I don't want to say war, but what for me is important before we talk about antimony here, gold and antimony together. Have you tried so far already metallurgy? Because it's all nice to have fantastic grades and to have those fantastic metals, but do you get them out of the rock also? That's for me always the master question.
Yep, and it's the first thing you should also ask, along with the coefficient of variation. Have you done the test work? And these were old mines for 50 years, so the old timers didn't mine them without. They took gravity gold, gravity recoverable gold out of this system, and at Costerfield too. At Fosterville, is a refractory system until they got deeper into that free gold at depth when it became supersonic. At Sunday Creek specifically is 80+% free gold, and we'll have two products. We'll have a gravity concentrate, and we've got 20 to 30% into gravity at the moment. The old timers took up to 50%, so we've just got some work to optimize to get that better, and we haven't done that. So around grain size and how you can get as much into the gravity con. And then we have a float con, which is a antimony gold concentrate, and we get mid 90% recovery of the gold and very good recoveries of the antimony through that method. And that's very mimics what Costerfield does today as an operating mine. And Sunday Creek and Costerfield were treated in the day, so we've just copied that flow sheet that existed in the day and replicated it. And then those cons have lots of options to be treated, and you get paid well for the gold. The conundrum for the Western world is that the antimony gold concentrates treated mainly in China. There's China and Russia control 80+%. So that scale is not an industry, and it's to treat those concentrates. So we're looking at various options. We're talking with various government levels in Japan, in the US, around how to treat these. And it's really leadership. It's not a money question. It's a few $100 million to build that midstream processing option, but it's where it's going to be and who's going to build it is the key question.
So if you would say money-wise, gold to antimony, what would be the percentages?
Yeah, it's a pretty fixed percentage right through the deposit. It's about 80% gold and 20% antimony. This project is one of the top 3 antimony projects in the Western world. So it's a significant antimony project, but the gold will pay for it and the antimony will help permit it, is what we say.
Okay, super. So for 2025, what would be, let's say, the 2 most important things you want to achieve this year?
Well, let's continue to drill out and make it bigger and de-risk it at the same time. So the decline is also around the progressive permitting. We've got a very supportive government here who would like us to build a project. So taking risks around water and fauna and flora and other impacts off the table progressively is a key aspect. Making it bigger while we de-risk it is really the key aspect. So having 4 rigs extending it and 4 rigs narrowing it down and converting that exploration target into the resource. So you won't see this, you'll see this getting bigger, not stopping getting bigger, but you'll also see lots of de-risking steps. So growth and de-risking.
Okay, super. With you have like 18 million Australian dollars cash on hand. Is that enough for this year, or you have to come back to the market?
We're increasing our spend to $1.5 million with those 8 rigs a month, $1.5 million Australian dollars, or we like to say Australian pesos when we leave Australia. And and it really feels like that. And obviously, we will need to top up towards the end of the year, but at the moment, we're well catered for.
Okay, super. You have a market cap of approximately 800 million Canadian dollars, which is really fantastic for an explorer. And also, I must say, your shareholder registries looks like the who is who of the mining industry, to be honest. Can you elaborate a bit on that?
Yeah, that's the biggest secret of this company. So we've got a wonderful discovery, but it's been a wonderful discovery that's delivered into this amazing shareholder base who are absolutely uber focused on value per share outcomes. And so everybody knows they want a higher share price, but what happens a lot in this industry is we get higher market caps and steady share prices, or even share prices can go down if you're not completely disciplined about that capital management. And so we've got Darren Morecambe, who's a major shareholder. He's behind Foran Mining, but he's done many things. He's quite the amazing guy. He was refining 25% of the world's gold in a company that he was one of the three shareholders in 20 years ago. He's an amazing thinker of the industry. He works very closely with Pierre Lassonde, who is, of course, one of the best value investors in the space. We have Kirill Sokolov, who's from 13D Research, who's one of the most amazing thinkers in the space again, and a group of people around them. So that's 30% of the stock, and then we've got about 25% institutions, who are some of the biggest and best institutions through North America, Europe, and Australia as well. So very blessed to have a solid base of investors who see the absolute value in a scarce, high-grade asset in a tier one jurisdiction. So they're very keen to build this asset and to see the growth. That we're very early in that value creation.
Absolutely. No, that's really, I'm totally impressed by that. And I know a lot of those guys also personally. So those are top-notch experts. And when they invest those amounts in your company, this is really like the confirmation of quality, I would call it. Can you tell us a bit, because you are already covered by several banks and investment houses, what is around their average price target for the stock in their research?
I haven't got the number in front of me, but they're all well north of the current share price, Jochen.
Okay, Michael. Well, that sounds all really, really compelling. Thank you very much for your time. And I must say, very impressive what you guys have achieved in that short time frame. And I would say we wish you extremely well for that and look forward to the next update.
Thanks, Jochen. Lovely to be able to talk to you again.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that was Michael Hudson, the CEO and president of Southern Cross Gold Consolidated. And you heard it, fantastic exploration company out of Australia. And they are doing the right things here. Will do a lot of more drilling also than from underground. The company is financed almost for this year. Of course, they will need some more money because they are very aggressive in the drilling. And to be honest, the share registry is the who is who of the mining universe and of the bank universe. And I think that alone speaks for itself. So really check out the company. Thanks for watching us, and bye-bye from Switzerland.